Sorry, I'm a little bit late for I think 0 people. Log in for Hot Topic. Typically Hot Tub Tuesday, 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's still hot. It's 140 degrees in the sauna. But the hot tub right now is getting refilled. So it's a little chilly right now. So in order to keep the theme consistent, Hot Topic Tuesday, the conversation is, the question is, have you tried not being a piece of crap? And simply, whatever it is that you are struggling with, just comment below, yes or no. And this is a common theme. When I was a fitness trainer, I had a saying where if I can get someone to cry, I could get them to try. And the reason is that we all have this little whisper, and maybe I shouldn't generalize. In my experience, it seems like most people have this whisper of what they really would like to do. And then what happens? Well, we just kill ourselves and then don't do the thing we want to do, right? So we kill ourselves by working for a job from some soulless corporation. And typically the killing ourselves comes from this statement. I had to. Right? Well, you have to have health insurance, so that's why I work at this soulless job. Common thing with teachers, it's like, I love teaching, but I have to follow this curriculum. And so if I could give you a little bit of power back in today's conversation, maybe try not being a piece of crap. So whatever it is, we're like, oh, I'm not in the shape that I want to be in. I'm not financially where I want to be in. I am not relationally where I want to be in. It's because I'm a bad dad, mom, spouse, whatever it is. Just stop. Just stop being a piece of crap. There it is. That was easy enough. Gosh, I don't know what I'm going to talk about for the next 15 minutes. So if I could, and I wrote my book, Get Paid, Get Laid. The subtitle is The Secret to Getting Lucky That Medical Doctors, Churches, and Schools Didn't Teach You. Because as of right now, we are trained to be unlucky. And I'm going to drop into the neurology of it a little bit, but there's 2 centers of our brain, and I'm going to make it very, very, very generalized for simplicity's sake, rather than inundate you with a whole lot of information. We have the fight or flight part of the brain, reptilian center of our brain, and then we have the rest, digest, develop, and heal part of our brain. So what's called the God center of our brain, or how we're made in the image of God. So this is how perfect balance works. We have a little activation of the fight or flight, and in like 30 seconds, Blaine and I were discussing on our run this morning, and he was saying, do you know there's 3 things that help our brain heal and regrow? And tell me, Blaine. And he said, sprint drills. 30 seconds of sprint drills. Because in nature, that's basically how long we would activate our fight or flight response. It would be, oh shoot, it's a lion, get away, right? And so immediate 30-second activation. And so, and the reason is that would be it. That would be our utilization of the fight or flight mechanism. And so, stress part of our brain, 30 seconds. And then the healing part of the brain would immediately kick on and then upgrade our system after that. Okay, so when you're in fight or flight mode, your body is breaking down actively. Dr. Bruce Lipton says you cannot be in protection mode and growth mode at the same time. So either you are breaking down or you are not. And so let me ask a quick question, if I could. do you have more than 30 seconds of stress in your day-to-day life? Let's add it up real quick. How are you feeling right now? Like, how are your shoulders doing? Are they relaxed? Are they kind of tense? Muscles up in the neck, are they relaxed? They're a little bit tense. Your gut response, is it sitting easy, or does it kind of feel like a little bit like unsettled, like something's not quite right? So, again, make it simple. We have the God center of our brain, prefrontal cortex, unique in humans, and then you have the reptilian center of our brain, which is breaking us down if it's activated for more than 30 seconds at a time. Could it be a wager? Could this be too profound? That the reptilian center of our brain could also be known as the evil part of our brain, because it is the part of our brain that controls us wanting to fight somebody else. Which, given the fact that there are no tigers around us, what are the things we're fighting? We're fighting each other. And I think this is when Jesus talked about even to feel anger towards somebody was the same as murdering that person. And because your brain doesn't perceive any difference, it's like we are in war mode and breaking down. So in the grand scheme of things, a piece of crap is simply something that was of once value, and then it was used up, and then discarded. Oh, my phone might go in cool down mode. I might lose it here. I better speed this up. So, the way to not be a piece of crap is just realize that you are the byproduct of your brain killing itself. So what's the only option to do? What's the only thing to do? The only option is simply turning on the other part of the brain by engaging the prefrontal cortex. And I do not think it is a coincidence that in the book of Genesis, like when we were in perfect commune with God, perfect health in a garden, right, just like our species was for hundreds of thousands of years. I don't think it was a coincidence that it was a reptilian creature that told Adam and Eve to eat the fruit that then gave us the knowledge of good and evil, meaning the activation of the amygdala brain to notice danger is originally from a reptile. So our reptilian brain was taught to us by a reptile, the evil part of our brain. Well, how do we get energy then if we are not using the fight or flight response? Well, energy is simply unlocking emotion. And that's where, if I go full circle back to the personal training clients, is when I would have somebody, if I could find the reason behind their desire to get in better shape, get healthier, like emotionally, that release of emotional energy then gives us energy that then can be used and then dissipated in a healthy way through exercising. And it's not, in essence, it's not providing new exposure, it's taking a previous hurt that's stored within our body that our brain's like, that hurt us real good, don't forget that, keep yourself in a guarded state. In essence, it's using that memory to then turn it into action and then rewires the brain. So hurt becomes healing. And then have abundant energy. So, okay, well, great, let's say that, and then get rid of all the things that trigger our amygdala, or the evil part of our brain, the rest of our life. That's a little tricky because there's three things that activate that fight or flight part of the brain, the amygdala breakdown part of our brain that turns us into a piece of crap. It is a synthetic environment, which I still haven't had anyone want to take me up on getting interviewed in the hot tub yet. But this is pretty close to as natural indoor-outdoor space as you can get. It's pretty awesome with water and when you have the water running, there's like something very like grounding about that sound. And so synthetic environment activates the amygdala, that part of the brain that turns us into a piece of crap. Because, again, our nervous system was fine-tuned and crafted to excel in nature. So anything outside of nature is activating that part of our danger mode, that amygdala.
Very similar if you go into a new area, a new morning bed, a new city, it's like it has a little bit of awareness there. And basically, that's kind of running on overdrive all the time. Anytime we're in a synthetic environment, you've seen this with zoo animals, and within 6 months they develop mental health issues, and within a couple of years, inflammatory diseases from going from nature into a synthetic environment. So just like look around your environment, kind of see what's training your brain every single day. And then the second is inactivity. Again, because in nature, if we were inactive, then we would go into protection mode, turning us into a piece of crap. And this is so predictable that sitting's the new smoking. Hours of sitting increase our risk of death and disease of all types across the board. And then negativity. And I was talking to Blaine about this, which is, I realize, is the piece of the puzzle that is missing for most people. The majority of people that I interact with on a regular basis. Again, I only know the people that I know, and so I shouldn't say most. Negativity. So let's define negativity. Harvard did a study on average thoughts. On average, we have between 6,000 and 60,000 thoughts per day. 75% of them negative, 90% repeating. So that piece of crap, kill yourself brain is just going all day long to ourselves and then to around us. Well, does that mean we just need to all be like saying affirmations and only being positive, avoiding conflict? I'm not going to say the answer is yes, because that would just be lies. Let's maybe break it down a little bit more, because those people just simply become happy slaves to their fight or flight mechanism and to everyone else. They don't get the power that is trapped within our system. So break it down neuroanatomy wise. Again, synthetic, inactivity, negativity, sin strengthens our evil part of our brain, breaking us down, turning us into a piece of crap. And people who are pieces of crap do crappy things. They do crappy things, which shit all over the place. Okay. That is going all the time automatically. You can't outthink that, especially since that part of our brain is the narrative part of our brain. So what do we do? What do you do? What do you do? Well, you get outside, right? Move. But how do we retrain that third part? Because we become the 5 people that we spend time with. Countless studies have done this, and we're all in the same piece of crap brain mentality. So what do you do? So a conversation with Blaine about this morning. You don't need to do nothing. You can be the way you are. And this is again, this video is like morning, Michael, how to not be a piece of crap. Have you ever tried not being a piece of crap? So you don't need to, you can keep being a piece of crap. No matter. You don't need to do anything. What I've found, and through my studies with learning from the top neuroscientists in the world over the last several years, is that you have to get the energy source from dopamine production, from the substantia nigra. And that part of our brain, super weak, because it doesn't get strengthened in our little cushy world that we live in the United States. Because the things that activate the prefrontal cortex also activate the dopamine centers in the brain, the motor part of the brain, the energy source of the brain within the substantia nigra. So, dope. Anything that gives us passive dope is weakening the systems. So the hoppy box that I'm talking into, that you're looking into, weakens that part of the brain. So, mentality-wise, and we've talked a lot about activating prefrontal cortex, but mentality-wise, focus-wise, if start to actively retraining that part of the brain, the only way to do it that I have known up to this point, actively, without falling into the trap of that piece of crap part of our brain, taking back control, is to have a goal. One goal. One big old audacious goal. And then ask yourself throughout the course of the day, is this thing moving me towards my goal, or is it not? And so Blaine, it's fun when you run with people, when you run with me, I like to have poke the bear conversations, because it gets people running, they're getting the stress hormones going, you can burn them off, right? So Blaine and I was challenging him on like listening to like talk radio or like anything political. Like, oh no, it's just information, I'm just getting informed, all right? Is actually strengthening the piece of crap part of our brain, because it's teamy. Like, this is my team, I'm making informed decisions for my team. It's protection mode. And so if you ask yourself, okay, if I am listening to this, how is this working towards my goal? Your goal may, I want to destroy this other political party. Okay, keep eating a piece of crap, I don't care. but again, if for those people that don't want to be a piece of crap, then ask yourself the honest question. Is what I'm feeding my brain strengthening the dope center of our brain to move me towards my goal? And then just be honest with yourself. So as we're running, he's like, oh yeah, so like my job is that his goal is to renovate his house. And so like, is my job, is that not going towards my goal? I'm like, well, break it down, man. Like, break it down into the metric. Like, what do you need in order to renovate your house? Like, I need money. Like, okay, perfect. Do you have other ways to make money other than going to your job? Not right now. There you go. There it is. That's how you break it down. And so then the more that someone can be aware of this needed brain training throughout the course of the day, the more you can start being less of a piece of crap. And knowing that there is no other way to be less of a piece of crap other than to get that part of our brain that's actively converting us into a piece of crap to turn off by getting energy from the substantia nigra and then stimulating the prefrontal cortex in order to then adapt to the stress of our life. Sin, synthetic, inactive, negative, ain't going anywhere. I have now, my goal is to create every environment that I am participating in on a regular basis to be as connected as possible in order to be a healing space and to leverage the healing aspect. Because my goal of a healer and as a chiropractor, as a follower of Christ, is to have more friends that are healthy. And every person that I interact with, I know that I am becoming them and they're becoming us, because that's the studies they've done, like so many studies where it's like the top 5 people you spend time with, you eventually will start to resemble. And even they've done studies where it's like, even like if you have 5 people and those 5 people have obese friends, you have this like 27% higher likelihood of developing obesity. And I don't know about you, but I grew up poor. Parents were drug addicts. Brothers were drug addicts. I broke my back in high school. I struggled through drug addiction. I ended up getting sent to a chiropractor. I then put my life back together, regained my health. No longer, and then what I've noticed is like with addiction is just a coping mechanism because that piece of crap part of our brain is so strong. We can't feel any ease in life without a mechanism. And so my goal, and from that point moving forward, was to have happy, healthy people around me and in my community. And we've seen the Arlington area just completely change. We have parks now, outdoor spaces, community centers. And so imagine if just more people, now that you understand this, you can either say, well, I don't believe in this. Great. It's your choice. Whatever you believe, you're right. Or you can say, you know what, I'm going to take some ownership. And it doesn't have to be like crazy goals, right? When I was a 17-year-old in high school, living in a shed, addicted to drugs, broken back, my goal was simply just to not kill myself. And that then led me to a chiropractor. And then my goal was to then regain the ability to walk normally. And then my goal was then to regain the ability to run. And then my goal was then to regain the ability to do whatever I wanted, which then turned into martial arts, which then built. So wherever you are, just pick a goal that you have direct control of the outcome. If it is something that you don't have control, then reassess it down until you got the control. And it could just be a daily thing. And then more importantly, to balance the equation, and again, I break it down a little bit more sequentially in my book, but if you can find the emotional reason behind it, that will provide you with a release of the energy that's stored in your body, locking you into that fight or flight response. And if you do not go to a chiropractor already, go as often as you can, knowing that every time someone receives a chiropractic adjustment, it creates neuroplasticity, rapid brain changes. So you can retrain patterns that have been default. Familiar trauma or hereditary trauma is a real thing unless you decide to change it. And that was my goal. I decided very early on, once I met my wife, that I did not want to be parents like my parents. I did not want my kids to suffer like I suffered. I wanted to stay married. I wanted to be an example to my kids so they then had a role model to look up to. And I wanted to have them grow healthy and strong and happy. Because my childhood was not that. So, and now, if we could take this little middle metaphor and wrap it up, my messaging, that hurt kept me motivated for a very long time until the pandemic. And then once the pandemic occurred, it changed, because what I found is that given enough sin, synthetic inactivity, negativity from our surrounding, then forced a lot of people to do things that are like, I only did it because I had to. And now my goal is to empower people, empower families to have such resilience, such health, such strength, that they never have to say, ever, I only did that because I had to. Everything you do, you have a choice to do. So that's my goal now. And it's based on the fact that so many families around me, my good friends, fell into addiction because they could not adapt to the increase in sin during the pandemic that was forced upon all the citizens, or the pressure, or the community pressure. And again, I know this don't be a piece of crap is such a strong motivator, because that oftentimes, that you could get away with anything early on in the pandemic if you just said oh, this is for COVID, because everyone's like, oh, I'm not going to question it, because I know if I question any COVID things, I'm going to get shamed for it publicly. Trust me, I know that one. And so if I can wrap it up, full circle, is to stop being a piece of crap. Pick a goal, start working towards the goal. And then find people around you that you can help grow in the same way. Because the only time a piece of crap really is useful is when it's used as fertilizer. So if you're feeling like a piece of crap, start helping somebody else grow and get better. It's not about you. It's about the things around you. Because fertilizer, once it breaks down, or crap, once it breaks down, becomes manure, which becomes the basic building blocks for sustaining life and growth, which then grow into something, produce fruit that other people consume, and then start the process over again. Okay? As far as mental health is concerned, I would say the statement, I only do XYZ because I have to, is a red flag indicator of mental health challenges. And mental health challenges for this month of May is really asymmetry within the brain, overactivation of the amygdala, underproduction of dopamine, underactivation of the prefrontal cortex. So what's your goal? Comment below. And this is the thing too. I've been a marathon runner. My friend Allie got me started in marathons. And what I found is it's such a good thing to do because it sucks so bad. So you have to really train for it. You can't just go run a marathon. I've lots of people that have done it. And that's a different experience in itself. Most people I've interacted with, don't have the willpower to do that. So I found when someone tells me that they want to run a marathon, if I can publicly commit them to it, the likelihood of them doing it like is 100%. So if you have a goal, small goal, big goal, whatever it is, and you want to lock this dopamine producing exercise in, comment it below. And no, it doesn't have to have like specific, measurable, attainable, realistic timeline to it. No, that's nonsense. I had a goal to own a retreat center in the Caribbean. There was no time limit on it until I went to the DR, and then I found it and I got it. It's if you can leverage your neuroanatomy, the smart things, they're done. What's your goal? Write it down.